Sir, how are you?
Good morning, Seth. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Both our baseball teams really on the struggle bus right now. Although I think the Cardinals, I heard, just took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. Is that right?
It is, yeah. After you poached our closer from us.
Yeah, well, he's been garbage, so thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even realize that. I knew he came out the first time and struck out 3, but I didn't follow it after that.
Oh,
So
terrible!
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all right. He'll get it together. I did like that pickup. I forgot about that too. Thanks for reminding me on that one. So, but no, it's good. Get kind of into that dog days of summer and that baseball season. Things kind of the cream of the crop really rises to the top. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, Jack. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's dive into it here this morning, sir. We got a lot of good stuff, and we have talked so much over the years, Jack, about all the things that you can do online, through Social Security and just the advancements the agency has made in its online footprint and availability there. Let's talk about applying for Social Security and SSI disability benefits online. Let's start there today, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the process, Seth, we can just talk a little bit about the 2 programs as well, because, if someone's facing a disability, it's important to know that the Social Security Administration offers a couple key disability programs that can help. So, the first one is probably what you think about when you think about disability through Social Security, and that's aptly named the Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI program. And basically, this one is for people who work and pay into Social Security. If they come down with a disabling condition that keeps them from working, there is that possibility of monthly disability benefits from Social Security. And the amount of those benefits for that program are going to be based on the past work and Social Security taxes that you've paid. The other program that we administer at our offices is something called Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. Now, SSI is going to pay monthly payments to adults and children with disabilities or blindness, but it's a needs-based program. So in order to qualify for that program, you have to have limited income and limited resources. If you're 65 or older, you might also qualify for SSI, but in that case, you don't even need to have a disability as long as you meet the certain income and resource limits. But from a disability perspective, Seth, for both of those programs, you have to have a medical condition that's expected to last at least a year or result in death, and it must prevent you from doing what we call substantial gainful activity. And that substantial gainful activity is really just a dollar threshold in terms of if you're working. So in 2025, that means that you're earning less than $1,620 gross a month if you are not blind. So if you're working still, but you're earning less than that amount, you could be considered to be disabled. For the SSDI, or Social Security Disability Insurance, its eligibility, or insured status as we call it, is going to be based on the work you've done in the past leading up to becoming disabled. For the SSI program, you do not have to have a work history, but you do have to have limited income and limited resources. And then another key thing about the 2 programs, the money that is used to pay SSDI comes from Social Security taxes. The money that's used to pay SSI benefits comes from just your general federal income tax. So a few key distinctions there. But then to kind of circle back to what you mentioned, you can apply online for both of those programs. And it's especially easy if you're applying for SSDI. If you're 18 or older, have a My Social Security account, and your previous disability application was denied more than 60 days ago, you can do a new one at any time. Of course, there's an assumption there. I wanted to just throw out that previous disability piece, just so that if you did recently apply and were denied, that has to be more than 60 days in the rear view for you to do another application. And the main reason for that, Seth, is because within the 60 days, or within 60 days of your denial, the better thing to do would be to appeal. So, that's why I throw that out there. But if you've never applied, of course, you can do that first application on the website as well.
Very good. Very good. Now, if you don't have a My Social Security account, Jack, talked about creating that and the ease and obviously the many features of that account. How about that?
Yeah, that is super easy. That's something that I recommend for everybody who's 18 or older to look into. There are a lot of good reasons to have that My Social Security account. You go to ssa.gov, that's our homepage. Once you're there, look for My Social Security. You can navigate directly to it. I'm not sure how many people do that anymore, but you go to ssa.gov/my account, and that'll take you right to the My Social Security page. But once you set up that account, that's kind of your personal portal into your Social Security info. So you're going to see your earnings history, estimates of future benefits, lots of things you can do, such as replacement Social Security card if you don't need to make any changes and have a state ID or driver's license from most states, including Illinois. Once you're collecting benefits, you can do a lot of other stuff with the My Social Security account as well. Another thing I should have mentioned is, I talked about the fact that you can apply for SSDI online. In a lot of cases, you can apply for SSI online as well if you're looking to apply for disability. If you're between ages of 18 and 64 and 10 months, if you have that My Social Security account and you've never been married or applied for SSI before, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can do the SSI and SSDI applications online. So, the SSI online application is obviously a little bit more limited based on some of the parameters I just mentioned, but there is a decent chance that you'd be able to do that application online if you're applying for disability as well. But it all starts with having that account, like you circled back to. The My Social Security account is a must for whatever you want to apply for online for Social Security. If you're not able to do that stuff online, you can still apply for any of these types of programs. You just would want to give us a call at 800-772-1213. We'd make you an appointment to do a telephone application. Those phone lines are going to be open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So give us a call if you need to set that appointment up. But if you're so inclined, check it out online first at ssa.gov.
Very good. Jack Myers with Social Security is our guest on the phone here for this morning. Jack, let's dive into next week is going to mark 90 years of Social Security. That's pretty big. Let's highlight it.
It is, it's a kind of a birthday of sorts for us at Social Security. August 14th of 2025 will mark the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act. So it was signed August 14th, 1935. So Social Security has been with us for a long time. And, as we celebrate that occasion during the month of August, I thought it might be fun to talk a little Social Security trivia today. So we know now that it was signed August 14th, 1935. Social Security taxes were collected for the first time in January of 1937. The first Social Security payments started in January of 1937, but there was a startup period from January of 37 through December of 39, where basically people just received one-time lump sum payments. The first ever recipient of a Social Security payment was a guy named Ernest Ackerman out of Ohio, and he received a whopping 17 cents. That was Ernest's lump sum payment. Basically, that was, a very small amount of contribution he made, and he actually made a little money off that 17 cents. Monthly benefits began in January of 1940, and the first recipient of a monthly Social Security benefit was a woman named Ida Mae Fuller out of Vermont. So there are a few key pieces of trivia for you if you want to know some of the history of Social Security.
Sure. Well, and so Jack, over time, Social Security, I'm sure, has evolved. Let's highlight some of those changes.
It has, Seth. When it first was signed, it was a program that was only to provide a retirement benefit to the primary worker. So that's what it looked like in 1935. But before monthly benefits, before any benefits on a monthly basis began to be paid, it was actually changed. In 1939, there was a change that added survivors benefits and benefits for retirees' spouse and children. And then later in 1956, disability benefits were added. So, some of the benefits that we know today came along, in those 1939 changes and 1956 changes. Another thing that's kind of interesting about the evolution of Social Security and the services that we offer kind of goes back to what we were talking about already this morning with the My Social Security and our online services. We know today that SSA.gov is a great way to conduct business with Social Security, but have you ever wondered how long our website's been around? Well, the answer is over 30 years. Our first Social Security website was launched in 1994 and has been evolving ever since. But we've actually been accepting claims online for 24 years now. In 2001 was when we added the first version of the online claims application. It has come a long way since then, but it's been around for a long time. So if you're thinking about filing an application online, just know that we've been taking them that way for 24 years or so now. So you can feel comfortable and safe doing that application at SSA.gov.
I didn't realize you've been taking online applications that long, Jack.
I really didn't either. I was doing a little research for this, and I was kind of surprised when I saw that fact. So I thought, hey, that'll be fun to share, because I thought a lot of people might be a little surprised by that.
Well, and for 94 to be the when the website launched, I mean, gosh, I mean, for me, I was 7 at that time, so I internet wasn't even on my radar at that point. And here I have a 7-year-old in my house, and internet's all she can survive with, it seems.
Yeah,
so
it's been a technological boom in our lifetimes.
No doubt, Jack. I'll tell you what. Let's break here. Where do folks go to learn about all these things we've talked about today?
Check us out online at SSA.gov. And if you're interested in setting up that account, SSA.gov/myaccount.
That is Jack Myers, Social Security, my guest on the phone. More to come with Jack on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. We start the day in the green with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. September corn opening 384.5, up 4 3/4. December corn up 4 3/4, 406. March corn 423 3/4, up 4 1/2. September beans up 3 1/4 to start the day, 968 3/4. November beans 988 1/4, up 3 3/4. January beans 1006 3/4, up 3 1/2. September wheat 516 3/4, up 8 1/4. December wheat up 8 1/4, 537 1/2. March wheat 556 1/2, up 8. September bean meal 275.90, that's up 330. September bean oil down 33 cents, 53.39. Opening numbers on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
School is right around the corner. Let us help you get to class in style at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. We have a great savings on the entire Chevy lineup, from the economic Trailblazer and Trax to the upscale Silverado or Tahoe. We have you covered. Our used and certified pre-owned cars are getting straight A's also. This school year, see all our inventory online. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Make this school year their strongest yet. Book your child's back to school or sports physical today at SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln. Keep them healthy, focused, and ready for success. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hi, I'm Brett with Central Cremation Center. We're proudly offering pet cremation services to help keep your faithful companion close to you. Learn more about our pet services by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Jack Myers, Social Security, is my guest on the phone here for this morning. Jack, let's talk about e-payments and what people who are receiving paper checks should know as we transition to e-payments. How about that?
Yep. So there is a change coming starting September 30th of 2025. The Social Security Administration will stop sending paper checks for benefit payments. It's part of a government-wide effort to modernize payment systems, making payments faster, safer, more reliable for everyone. It's not going to come as a surprise to most. I mean, this is a very small group of people, less than 1%, who still receive paper checks. But if you are one of them, it's important to switch to electronic payments to continue getting your payments on time. You have a couple options, a couple convenient ways to do this. You can sign up for direct deposit, which is going to send your payment directly to a checking or savings account. But if you don't have a bank account, you could also use a Direct Express prepaid debit card. That's I guess the best way for people who don't have bank accounts. There are lots of reasons for this, Seth. One of which is to get you the money more timely, more efficiently. They're more secure, but they're also cheaper. I mean, the cost of sending electronic payments is about 15 cents for the government, where a paper check is about 50 cents. So that's a pretty significant amount of money if you thought about how many payments we send out every month. People have been getting notices, so this shouldn't be the first time you're hearing this. If you're getting paper checks, those benefit checks have been including some information on how to switch. We're available to help you with that. You can update that at any time through your personal My Social Security account if you get Social Security benefits, or you can contact us or come into an office to make a direct deposit or request for Direct Express. But do pay attention to those stuffers that are coming with your paper checks, because it is a real issue, and it is something you're going to need to change if you're still getting that method, or if you're still getting that payment through the paper check method.
Yeah. A lot of folks, and maybe they don't necessarily receive Social Security, but I just know for a lot of folks, like the paper check option is the best for them, because it's that cash in the pocket real fast, that sort of thing. Plus, sometimes access to a bank account is not sometimes feasible for a lot of folks. Is there a contingency for someone that may not have that offering there, Jack?
Yeah, so the best thing for someone who doesn't have the access to a bank account is the Direct Express prepaid card. That's something that it's basically through a bank, of course, but it is a debit card. It is something that the Treasury has partnered with financial institutions on, so that you can qualify for it. There's no denying you the prepaid debit card through Direct Express. So if you don't have a bank account, what you would do is contact Social Security, would be one of the ways you could do it. You could come to us and you could say, you need to enroll in Direct Express, and then we get that process started. I would encourage you to do that sooner rather than later, though, because it does take a little bit of time for that card to show up for you in the mail. And be ready to be loaded with those payments. And remember, September 30th, 2025 is when we're going to stop, for the most part, making those electronic payments. So it is something you want to pay attention to. Again, you've been getting information about that, but I know, sometimes we don't look at those stuffers that come with payments. You pull out the thing you care about, which is the check, and don't necessarily pay attention to the other stuff. So that's why I wanted to mention it today and make sure that you are noticing and taking note of that, and taking some steps to, get that switched over to electronic before October.
Very good. Very good, Jack. Well, in our final minutes, let's highlight enhanced security authentication for online account holders. What's this all about? And tell us about this, Jack.
Yeah, so, beginning this month, we're introducing this enhanced security authentication PIN, and we're calling it SAP. It's a feature from My Social Security account holders, and it's something that you can use when you call our national 800 number. So if you have a My Social Security account and you want to talk to somebody at Social Security, you can go into your My Social Security account and you can use that enhanced security authentication PIN to basically identify yourself when you call the 800-772-1213. So what it's going to do when you call that national number is it's going to give you that option to give that code, as opposed to going through some of the questions that take a little bit more time to verify your identity. It would also enable you to be able to change direct deposit information in some cases over the phone without having to visit an office. That's not going to be for SSI folks, but for people who get Social Security, you would have that option to change direct deposit once you've used the security authentication PIN. So it's really just going to cut down some of the amount of time, knock off approximately 3 minutes when you're contacted to the Social Security representative on our national 800 number. It's not something that you have to do. It is not going to be mandatory. It's just another thing that we're throwing out there to try and make your interaction with us a little bit more convenient, a little bit faster for you, and more secure. We're trying to do what we can to make sure that we safeguard your identity at every step of the process.
Sure. How will that SAP feature there work, Jack? How about that?
So if you have the My Social Security account, you will have the option to use that to generate a PIN when you call the national 800 number, and then you would use that PIN that you get to authenticate your identity quickly. So instead of them going through a whole series of questions, you would just put that PIN in, and when you get to the representative, it would show that you've already been authenticated. So they can get right into, whatever the business was that you were calling about. And like I mentioned, it would even give you an option to then change your direct deposit information if you get Social Security benefits, a feature that you can't do over the phone anymore unless you use this security PIN.
Yeah.
And that's how it is right now too.
Yeah, and you mentioned that time-saving piece. That's going to be, for folks to have to wait on hold and authenticate things with phone numbers and, Social Security numbers and all the things that they need. This is going to save a lot of time, it seems like, and probably get you to the line where, whether if you're waiting or not, get you to the front of the line a little quicker.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how the routing will work exactly, but I know definitely once you get connected, it is going to save you some time. And I do want to reiterate, though, Seth, that it's not required. So you don't have to use this PIN to call us. So I don't want to get anybody concerned or confused. The phone is still a good option if you don't have access to My Social Security. And this change is not in any way mandating a PIN in order to call Social Security.
Sounds good. Hey, Jack, always good to have you, my friend. And we'll talk next month.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Jack Myers, Social Security, our guest on the phone. Network news on the way.